Webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome you all and call to order the meeting of the directors of the Erie County Stadium Corporation for Monday, January 23rd, 2023. My name is Bob Duffy. I'd like to thank Governor Hochul for recently appointing me as chairman of the corporation. I'm looking forward to working with the state, county, city, and the bills to move this very exciting project forward. And before we start, I'd like to take a moment and go around the table and have all the directors introduce themselves. I'll start with the mayor.
Byron Brown, Mayor of Buffalo.
Brenda McDuffie, member of the Stadium Corporation.
Tom Quattrochi.
Jeremy Toth, Erie County Attorney.
Bill Gary, Commissioner of Public Works for Erie County. Paul Brown. Eric Reich.
Brian Field, legislature appointment to the committee.
April Baskin, chairperson of the county legislature.
And I'm Steve Golick. I'm a senior counsel with ESD. I am not on the board of directors, but welcome.
Thank you all. Just one quick comment before the program. I just would say this is a very exciting effort, a program that was put together in agreement with the county, the state, the city, and the Buffalo Bills. I think it's terrific. Reading the agreement, I would say it's very thoughtful. It's very comprehensive. Some people that were involved at the table, I know Madam Chair of the legislature specifically should be very proud of the outcome of that. And being a resident a little bit east of Buffalo, I've said this consistently, the Buffalo Bills are part of the fabric of this community. Keeping them here for 30 years is super important. And not only do they bring this region together, but we saw this year they brought this entire country together. So it is a very important project and done well. And I appreciate everybody here serving as part of this. So without any further ado, this meeting is going to be on a record and is being webcasted live. And we welcome public comments on today's agenda item. I'll note for the record that the public was given the opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting their written comments by 9 a.m. today. I'd like to state for the record that one comment was received concerning today's agenda item, which has been provided to the directors, and it is posted on the meeting website. I also note that we do have a few members of the public attending today's meeting. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to today's agenda. If so, I would ask you to please state that disclosure on the record, and I'll open that right now for all the directors. If you any perceived conflicts, please state those. Seeing none, thank you. We'll move on to the next part. Okay. Next, I'd like to introduce Hope Knight, who is joining us today from New York City to provide some opening comments. Hope is Empire State Development's president and CEO and president of the Erie County Stadium Corporation. So please welcome Hope Knight.
Thank you, Chair Duffy. I'd like to express my gratitude to everyone attending today's meeting. It goes without saying how important the Buffalo Bills are to Buffalo and Western New York. And keeping them in Buffalo has been a key priority for Governor Hochul. I also want to thank our county and Bills partners led by County Executive Polenkars and Bills owners Terry and Kim Pagula for their loyalty to Western New York. We're getting close to the goal line, and without everyone's commitment, we would have never gotten here today. Again, thank you for coming today, and I will turn it back over to Chair Duffy.
Thank you. I'll now ask Steve Golick, Empire State Development Senior Counsel for Strategic Initiatives, to present today's agenda item. A request for the corporation to, among other things, adopt the general project plan for the Erie County Stadium's civic project. And Steve, you ready?
Yes, thank you for coming, everybody. Again, my name is Steve Golick. I'm a senior counsel with ESD. And you might be asking, why are you here today? Well, you've been appointed either by the governor, the county executive, the chairwoman, or minority of the county legislature to be a director on the Erie County Stadium Corporation. The Erie County Stadium Corporation is a subsidiary of ESD. ESD is actually the New York State Urban Development Corporation doing business as Empire State Development. We're known by ESD, and we're the economic development arm of New York State. This is an independent board, the Stadium Corporation, and it has been tasked over the years with implementing the Bill Stadium project. It was actually created in 1998 after the original lease expired, and since that time has been involved with the stadium proper. So just a little history, as everybody knows, it was Rich Stadium back in 1973. It opened. It was funded and built by Erie County. And then in 1998, when the original lease expired, that's when the Erie County Stadium Corporation was incorporated. So that's the stadium, the 200 plus acres, including the field house, all the practice facilities, is actually owned by Erie County. Since 1998, it was leased to the Erie County Stadium Corporation and then subleased to the Bills. The last extension occurred 10 years ago in 2013. And it's the same situation, right? The county-owned facility leased to the Stadium Corporation was leased to the Bills for 10 years. That lease expires in July. Really, I hate to say it, with the loss, they're, at the end of the season. So back in February, March, led by the Governor Hochul and County Executive Polenkars and the Pagulas, a memorandum of understanding was entered to outline the basis of the new deal. And it's, as I'm sure everybody knows, it's construction of a new stadium that's going to occur on the other side of Abbott Road and replace the existing stadium. It's been asked, why don't we renovate? You know, there's been a lot of analysis done on the stadium, and it's really met, you know, it's the end of its useful life. It's been a great vehicle for the last 30 plus years, but it's time to move on. So what we're doing today is the Stadium Corporation and the ESD process, we adopt what's called the general project plan. It basically is just the deal. You know, it's been published. There's nothing really new. It's the framework of the deal. We will then hold a public hearing. If we get substantive negative comments, we'll be back in front of this board to consider those comments. And that's really the ESD/Stadium Corporation process for this deal. So if you read, it's the budget of the current stadium is $1.4 billion, of which the state is contributing $600 million. The county's contributing $250 million, and the remainder and any cost overruns will be borne by the bills. The bills amounts include, if they so desire, to enter into PSLs, which are personal seat license that stadium ticket holders, if they wish to purchase one and become season ticket holders, can. That's strictly up to the bills. They will be done as we're actually the owner of the facility. It'll be our agent, but it's primarily driven by the bills. So the new deal, again, is $600 million state, $250 county, the remaining the bills. And then when stadium construction is completed, it's expected to complete it in 2026. The land, including the stadium and all the 240 some acres, will be transferred to the Erie County Stadium Corporation. So the state will hold it through the Stadium Corporation and fee will lease it to the bills for 30 years. There's two funding streams that have been contributed by the state and the county and the bills. There's a capital improvement allowance, which the state will be contributing $6 million and the county up to $4 million, with a caveat, and I'll explain it in a minute. And the bill's $900 million, and that's for really capital upkeep of the stadium. There's a second fund, which is a 15-year fund contributed by the state at $6.75 million. That's used for capital, but also maintenance and upkeep. The idea behind those two funds is really to keep the stadium in a first-class condition because it really is going to be a state asset. Getting back to the county share, it's up to $4 million because it's going to be based on surcharges that are going to be implemented by the county. And that's expected to net $4 million. We don't exactly sure that, but whatever it is, that's what the county's contribution will be. So as part of the agreement, I mean, we've been working on lots of agreements. There'll be lease, obviously, between the Stadium Corporation and the bills, a non-relocation agreement, a CBA, community benefits agreement has been negotiated as part of this agreement. There'll also be lease extensions because, as I said, the stadium agreement actually expires in July, but because the stadium is not expected to be open 3 years, we'll be extending that on a year-to-year basis until the new stadium opens. And like by all schedule, we're still on schedule. The bills are still on schedule. Groundbreaking is coming up soon. They could start utility work and fencing, things like that as early as March, with major excavations started in June. 3-year construction period. So we would expect the existing stadium to be used for another 3 years. Once the new stadium is completed and games are able to start there, the existing stadium will be demolished and it'll be leveled and used for parking. That's actually part of the project. It's also included in the $1.4 billion budget. So that's really the overall deal. The CBA obviously is an integral part. The bills are committing to various, public benefits, MWBE hiring and operations, everything involving transportation improvements, support for various, initiatives run by the county and the state. Those values, it's valued at $3 million a year. We're not saying the bills are going to write a check for $3 million, but it's going to be a combination of what they're contributing to the community. As part of the CBA, there'll be what's called a Community Benefits Oversight Committee, which will be appointed by the county primarily. They'll have 4 appointments. The state has 2 and the bills have 3. And that entity will be charged with really oversight of the opportunities involved in the community benefits agreement. So what we're asking the board to do today is approve essentially approve the deal. It's through what I said is a general project plan. We'll go out, have a public hearing. If we get no negative comments, which is probably unlikely, then we'll be able to sign final agreements, which are, they're final. There's still a lot of lawyering, but all the substantive issues are resolved, right? It's just now exhibits and deed descriptions, things like that we're working on, but the substantive issues have all been resolved. So we're asking the board to approve that. Again, if we get negative comments at our public hearing, we'll be back here sometime in February to give final approval, and then hopefully be able to sign the documents. The funds will flow and bills will start construction in June. So that's it. We're also asking the board to make its findings that there's no significant impact on the environment. The county legislature was lead agency under seeker and actually made those findings last week. It did a yeoman's job of doing a technical analysis with the bills. And so we're asking the board to essentially adopt those findings that there's no significant effect on the environment. Really what we're talking about is replacing a stadium. We're not building a new stadium. It'll be a more efficient and quite frankly, a smaller stadium. Because if you read it, right now the design is about between 60,000 to 64,000 seats, which is, will be about 10,000 seats less than the existing stadium. So that's really what we're asking for. Again, it's authorize adoption of a general project plan, authorize a public hearing, authorize the taking all the related actions. So that's it. And if there's any questions from the directors, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Steve. Open up. Any comments there?
So what are actually the duties and powers of the Stadium Corporation?
It is the vehicle, the legal vehicle that will own the facility and lease it to the bills. And we will be executing all the agreements, the leases, non-relocation agreement, the lease extension. It is the actual legal entity that is really the state's arm in implementing this project.
So does this corporation have any role in reviewing the deal as it has been negotiated?
Oh, we're doing it right now. I mean, you can vote yes and no, but it's really, I look at it as we're implementing the state's negotiation, and the governor's view of, the project.
And how many, is there a schedule of meetings of the corporation going forward?
We'll have, no, there's not. We haven't met in several years because there's been nothing. So I would suspect we would meet probably in February. I suspect we'll meet and again in March because there'll be some administrative things, and then it'll be as needed if there's any business before the corporation.
And I was reviewing the CBA, and I want to just commend the chair of the legislature, April Baskin, for her advocacy and her work in negotiating the CBA. Are all of the elements of the community benefits agreement laid out in the document that we have before us today?
Generally, yes. Yeah.
I would say it's a summary.
It's a summary. That's exactly right.
It's a summary. There are some things, and I'm still under the non-disclosure agreement, so I guess we can't go into much detail. I see the county attorney is here though, so he could do it better than I, but I do know that this is a summary. It's not the specifics, Mr. Mayor.
Right.
I believe you said that this board will take action today, and then there'll be public hearings.
Yes.
One public hearing. Do we know the date of that? And if there are no negative comments, do we meet again to do the final adoption, or are our actions today that you're expecting us to take for the final adoption?
Yes, February 2nd at ECC South is this hearing is scheduled. And if there are no negative comments, then yes, this is the final approval.
And are all comments responded to? We received a comment already. And certainly I'd like to know what the response to the comment is. Do we receive those by looking on the web? And will the state be responding to them or somebody be responding to those comments?
Yeah, the one comment that was received concerned bricklayers.
Right, exactly.
And it's definitely being considered as part of the design. Obviously, we've raised that with the bills and we will raise it again with them. You know, it's obviously an issue, a design issue, a cost issue, but we certainly are pushing all local hiring. Yes, definitely. That's been raised with the bills and they're aware of it. Comments you'll get, there'll be any comments we receive will be put together. It'll be provided to the board and staff essentially responses to those comments will be provided.
And in the deal, the new stadium will be owned by the state, correct?
Through the, yes, through the Stadium Corporation. Yes, the Stadium Corporation is actually, again, is the state's legal entity that owns it, but yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Other questions, comments? Directors? Next, we want to open up, anyone from the public who'd like to make a comment? We'll entertain that. And if you are going to make a comment, just please state your name and any organization you're representing. Seeing none, then this maybe just two final comments. I think going back to CBA, I mentioned it before, very thoughtful agreement. And to Madam Chair's comments, can't disclose all the specifics, but what I've read, very impressed with. And also, I want to say the seeker between Erie County and the state, the seeker process and that agreement, I thought was very also thoughtful and comprehensive. Having gone through some of those in my past life, so I just really want to commend both entities for that. So, no questions. We're going to start with the process here. As I think Steve mentioned, and the mayor's comment, this is to approve the plan going forward. So I'd like to ask for a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second. Any comments before the vote? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Yes, unanimously. The motion carries. I want to thank everybody for being part of today's meeting and a great first step, first meeting in 5 years of this group. And as Steve mentioned, I think February 2nd is the hearing. We'll schedule up. We're respecting everybody's busy schedules, any meetings coming up in the future. And so before we close, is there any business before this group you'd like to open up or ask before we have a motion to close the meeting? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to close the meeting. Second. All in favor? All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.